I'm going to talk to you guys about a study that me and my advisor did. My name is Dylan. The study is called Alcohol Exposure and Sexual Assault Relevant Bystander Intentions. We presented this at the Society for Personality and Social Psychology Sexual Violence Pre-Conference in February 2019. If you have any questions following the presentation, please feel free to email me. My email is listed at the bottom of this slide. So, our study was on bystander intervention against sexual violence. Bystander intervention is becoming a common approach to sexual violence prevention on college campuses. Previous prevention efforts have focused on deterring potential perpetrators and teaching potential victims, usually women, how to defend themselves from being sexually assaulted. Bystander intervention, on the other hand, is different in that they take the focus away from the potential perpetrators and victims and instead foster community responsibility. So it's everyone's responsibility to take part in preventing sexual violence. One factor that has been associated with bystander intervention and sexual violence is alcohol consumption. Recent research on survivors' reports indicate that bystanders are present when the assault occurs, and survivors also report that bystanders are drinking over 80% of the time. Many sexual assaults occur in environments where alcohol and drug use is common, such as parties and bars, with over 60% of sexual assaults involving alcohol use by either the perpetrator, victim, or both. So, while previous research has examined the relationship between drinking and sexual assault perpetration and victimization, there's little research examining the link between alcohol intoxication and bystander perceptions, for example, their attitudes and behaviors. However, there is reason to believe that alcohol intoxication can negatively impact prosocial bystander behavior. Take, for example, Lotney and Darley's situational model of bystander intervention. This model suggests that bystanders must go through 5 steps when intervening. These include noticing the event, determining if it's risky, take responsibility for intervening, and deciding how to intervene, and finally, the 5th step is to actually intervene. However, intoxication may influence many of these steps in the intervention process. According to alcohol myopia theory, intoxication can narrow people's attention to their surrounding environment, which has the potential to impair their ability to notice any potential sexual assault. Further, intoxication has been shown to impair decision-making ability. This has the potential to negatively impact a bystander's ability to classify an event as warranting intervention, and also how they determine how they're going to intervene. Research has previously shown that priming people with alcohol-related words can also influence various behaviors similarly to actual intoxication. Some of these behaviors include racial bias, increased ratings of sexual attraction, although this is typically only among men with higher expectancies, and it also has been found to increase victim blaming, with stronger effects found for men. So the purpose of our study is to examine how alcohol priming may influence bystander perceptions and intentions. We conducted 2 studies, one with a college sample that consisted of 303 participants, 61% of which were female from our university. The other sample was a general population sample consisting of 313 young adults between the ages of 18 and 35 recruited through MTurk. 45% of the second sample was female. For both Study 1 and Study 2, participants completed an online survey via SurveyMonkey. Participants were randomly assigned to view a series of images of food items or alcoholic beverages. The food priming condition was meant to act as a control group to compare to our alcohol priming condition. Participants were instructed to select the item that they would like to eat or drink most if they were at a party. Once the images were selected, participants were asked to rate how likely they were to experience various feelings after one serving or after multiple servings. After the priming task, participants were asked to read a party scenario questionnaire and imagine what they would do they were asked to read a party scenario and imagine what they would do in the situation if it were them. The scenario describes you as a young partygoer who accidentally opens a bedroom door whenever you're looking for a bathroom, and you see a guy on top of a girl who is resisting. Following the scenario, participants were asked to complete 3 measures. The first was our party scenario questionnaire, which asked participants to rate their level of agreement on various statements. For example, this situation is pretty dangerous for the girl, or it's not my responsibility to take action in this situation. They also completed a bystander intention to help scale. Participants rated how likely they were to engage in various prosocial bystander behaviors, for example, telling a friend when I think their drink may have been spiked. Finally, they also completed a demographic survey, which included questions about frequency of their party and bar attendance. For our analyses on the party scenario questionnaire, we did what's called a factor analysis. The factor analysis looks at the 18 questions we asked in the questionnaire, and it looks at how the items are related to each other. So through the factor analysis, we were able to identify that 4 different subscales within the 18 questions. So those subscales we identified were unwillingness to intervene, lack of confidence, danger or concern for the victim, and others' responsibility. Study 2's subscales were similar. So to analyze our data, we use a 2x2 ANOVA to examine the differences in each priming condition and the differences between male and female participants for both the party scenario questionnaire and the bystander intention to help questionnaire. We also examined the relationship between typical drinking behaviors and bystanders' perceptions and intentions. The ANOVA showed that there was a main effect for gender, with women having a greater lack of confidence in both studies 1 and 2. For bystander intention to help, in the first study, female participants and participants in the alcohol priming condition showed higher willingness to help. In study 2, there was only a main effect for gender, in which women had greater willingness to help than men. So this slide shows the results of our exploratory analyses examining frequency of party and bar attendance. Note that there were only 2 significant differences found within the general population sample, but none were found in the college sample. So this is for study 2 only. In the left bar graph, you can see a trend indicating that participants who attended parties and bars a moderate amount, so 2 or 3 times, had greater intention to help than participants who attended parties and bars both infrequently and frequently. We believe that this relationship could result from habituation for the people who attend parties and bars a lot. If people are often in these environments, they may not be on the lookout for behaviors that could indicate a potential sexual assault. And similarly, people who don't go to these environments very often, so rarely have low party and bar attendance, might not know what to look out for. However, people who attend these a moderate amount know what to look out for, and they're still not desensitized to the environment like the people who attend often. In the right graph, you can see that a lack of confidence to intervene in the hypothetical scenario increased slightly along with the frequency of party and bar attendance, with people who attend 2 and 4 times having a higher lack of confidence than people who attend infrequently. So, in summary, these 2 studies demonstrate that alcohol priming does not significantly impair bystanders' willingness to intervene, nor does it impact how people think about responsibility to intervene or danger to the victim in a potential sexual assault. Also, Regular exposure to alcohol cues through party and bar attendance shows inconsistent and weak associations with some bystander variables, but only among our general population sample, not with college students. Our study is not without limitations. For one, we only examined participants' responses to one type of bystander scenario. Furthermore, hypothetical responses to scenarios may be influenced by participants' inclination to report socially desirable behaviors. By that, they want to appear more helpful than they actually are, so they might report falsely. And thus these findings may not correspond with actual bystander behaviors in real life situations. In conclusion, this research is consistent with a growing body of research from our lab showing that alcohol is not strongly related to bystander perceptions or intentions. However, on a more optimistic note, this could infer that both drinkers and non drinkers may have equal opportunities and willingness to intervene to prevent sexual violence. If you guys are interested in learning more about the research we conducted and how we came up with our study ideas, these were the resources that were used in the presentation, and you guys are welcome to look them up. And like I said at the beginning of the presentation, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to contact me. Thank you.